Welcome to the call today.
Thanks, Pope. It's always a pleasure to be on this call. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. And Lisa, you know how passionate I am about getting the word out about Laminine for children and what this product can do for children, especially children who have various challenges that seem to be extremely difficult for many families and parents to work with. You're in that situation. Your son, Dylan, who's 15 years old, has autism. I want you to, now I understand we're at the 1-year anniversary of Dylan being on this product, or October I think is the 1-year anniversary. I want you to share with everyone where it started with Dylan. What was the situation with him before Laminine came into your lives and his life, and where he is now?
Absolutely, Pope. So Dylan has been diagnosed with autism since he was 2.5. Formal diagnosis at age 4. We noticed the drastic loss of skills at age 2.5. Anyway, he's been on 3 meds ever since he was formally diagnosed. As a lot of people know, autism affects social interactions, typical development in communication, and behavioral development. And with Dylan, some of his key markers of his autism, because every child is so different on the spectrum, he showed a lot of aggressive behaviors, as a lot of children do. And we've worked hard with his doctors and therapists to get those behaviors managed and to get him a way that he can communicate, very verbal, but just 1- and 2-word phrases. And because, as we know, if we can learn to communicate our needs, then we won't have the need to have behaviors. Dylan's behaviors.
Give us some example. Just give us an example or two of what kind of behaviors he was exhibiting a year ago before Laminine.
Before Laminine, he would shoot up to his crisis cycles, and we call it full crisis, which is banging his head either on the wall or on the floor, screaming, kicking, spitting, hurling himself up in the air and falling to his knees. Very serious and chronic behaviors. Very, very concerning to us as his parents and working with his therapist and his doctors. Well, been on meds for 10 years before Laminine. We felt like the meds were, although they helped in the beginning, we felt over this long period of time, the meds have reached the end of what they can do to help Dylan with his aggressive behaviors.
So even with the meds and all of the therapy over that period of time, a year ago, he was still exhibiting the behaviors that you described.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, and we just felt like, gee, if this is all we're offered is these meds, and he's, we started on such a young age, and, what's the future going to look like for our son? We just didn't have a lot of faith in the med management 10 years down the road. At this point, we were pretty, not hopeless, but we're just resolved to, wow, this is what we're going to have to deal with for the rest of our life. And then as parents, you try to predict the future, and, gee, what are these behaviors going to look like when he's, 200-pound man, full-grown man. My husband's 6'3", so he's getting to be really tall and going through puberty, and, we just were really concerned. So a friend of ours told us about Laminine, a trusted friend, and to us that was key. We did the research on it. For us, that was key. We just, don't put anything in our child's mouth that comes along. And we started him on Laminine with the hope that maybe it will help his behaviors. Maybe it will help his speech and language development. We were hopeful. So we started him last May, as a matter of fact, at the end of May. And 4 days into it, Hope, we were so encouraged. 4 days into taking Laminine, our son also exhibited sleep apnea since he was diagnosed. I mean, snored like no other. Shortness of breath, gasp for air, just loud. You could hear him 2 rooms down. I remember on the 4th day, I'll never forget it. I walked in, And you could hear a pin drop in my son's room. And I thought, this is eerie. This is odd. What is different? I didn't key into it right away. I sat at the edge of the bed, and I stared at our son, and his, chest was rising and falling. I could hear, I could not hear him breathing, as a matter of fact. And then it dawned on me, oh, my gosh, he is peacefully sleeping. He's not, gasping for air. And, it just dawned on me, wow, he's a quiet sleeper right now. So I grabbed my husband, and he witnessed it, and our jaw just dropped, and we were just in amazement. And I'm just thinking, oh, my gosh, could this be a shift? Could this be a change that the laminine's bringing about? We weren't convinced, but we were encouraged. And then,
how much were you giving him at that point when you first started him? How much of the product was he taking?
Only one at night and one in the morning, so 2 a day.
2 a day.